Alright, in this short video I just want to discuss the topic of defoliation. I apply it on my trees mostly in summer, so that's why you don't really see it on YouTube, because I don't often film here in summer. But this time we're here for a day, and that gives me the opportunity to tell you a bit about defoliation. So what is defoliation, to get started? Defoliation is basically removing all leaves or part of the leaves or a specific section of the leaves on a bonsai to make the tree grow a second flush of growth in 1 year. And that basically speeds up the development of your tree. So that could be one goal, the second flush, another chance for the tree to grow finer ramification in one year. The other reason you could defoliate a tree, and then I'm talking about mostly partial defoliation, is to kind of rebalance the energy flows in the tree. So say I take this maple and I would only defoliate the top part of the tree, just saying, that would give a lot of additional strength to the lower branches of the tree. Or if I defoliate this section of the tree, the other part of the tree would grow much stronger. So there's a technique basically to balance and redistribute growth in a tree. But most commonly you would defoliate a tree partially or completely to get that second flush of growth. So some tree species like different ways of defoliation, and a lot of tree species can't be defoliated at all, so that is something for you to check out. We do list this information on the tree species guides on Bonsai Empire, so if you want to know for your specific tree species, just go to our website and look up that information. So with me here I have two trees, a Japanese maple and a chestnut. So let's begin with the chestnut. Alright, so beginning with the chestnut, I actually already did a first defoliation about a month ago. So it's late June right now, which is a good time to do the defoliation, at least where I am in Western Europe. So around the longest day of the year, basically. So that gives the tree enough time to get you that second flush of growth and harden that new growth off before going into winter. So this tree, what I did, a chestnut has super large leaves, and this tree is still in development, so the ramification is not very fine, and that's why all these leaves are so big. So there's not enough leaves for the tree, so they have to be big enough to get solar power into the tree, basically. And the more ramification you get in a tree, the smaller the leaves. So defoliation is not something you do to get smaller leaves. Defoliation in this case is something you do to get finer ramification, and then in turn you get smaller leaves. So what did I do with the tree a month ago? All the leaves that were large, so let's find a large leaf here, so this size, and they were almost double the size of these leaves. All those leaves I cut off, so mostly on the outer parts of the tree. And in total, I think 50–60% of all the foliage was removed back then. So within that month, there's a lot of new small leaves growing, a lot of new branches here, and that is exactly what you need. Actually, with the chestnut, I'm going for a second round of ramification, so I partially defoliate twice, which I found out works really great on chestnut, but don't do that on all tree species. Again, look up the information on Bonsai Empire for your tree. But what I do is basically I select all the large leaves and I cut them off, leaving a bit of the stem, not a lot. I just go around the tree, all the leaves that are big, I take off. If you're into bonsai as a beginner or advanced user, I think our app might be useful for you. It helps you keep track of your trees, it shares tree species specific information, lets you set smart reminders, and it tells you what to do at what time of year. It is entirely free for the first 5 trees and available at Google Play and the App Store. So I'm just circling the tree around, selecting the largest leaves as we go. think I got the larger leaves now. And actually I'll go through the tree a second round, this time not only taking away the largest leaves, but also pruning a bit more leaves in the strong sections, so that I balance that growth again. So this area, for example, there's a lot of leaves, it's very strong growing, where I want these lower branches to ramify as well and push out new branches. So I'm just going through the tree right now, scouting for places that are just a bit heavy, a bit dense. And so when you defoliate or partially defoliate a tree, you also get a chance to look into the tree again. If I wouldn't defoliate this tree, I had no idea about the branch structure until winter. So if I would see some branches that have grown very long, I can also do a bit of summer pruning as well. I think that's about it. So partially defoliating, this will be again about 40–50% of the leaves on the tree, which is fine for now. So the tree doesn't need any special aftercare. I would protect it a little bit from intense summer sunlight, and the reason is that a lot of the leaves on the interior of the tree now suddenly get a lot more sunlight, which before was blocked out by the other leaves. So I will protect it a little bit by putting it in like semi-shade, but that's it. So this tree still needs a lot of development. You'll see it on YouTube at some point, but not quite yet. All right, now let's discuss the Japanese maple. I brought this tree just as an example. So you might know this tree from our YouTube channel because we've been working on this for quite a few years, and this tree is really getting to a point where it starts to ramify. I still have a few of these shoots growing out because I want the top to thicken up, so I let this grow out just to thicken the top section. And again, an example of a tree that could be defoliated right now. And again, it would depend on the goals that you have in terms of what kind of defoliation you would apply. So with this tree, for sure, I would do a bit of summer pruning because a lot of these branches have just grown too long. So I would prune the tree, and then likely I would do an outer defoliation, removing 30–40% of the leaves so that more light gets into the interior of the tree, so that I make sure that all those fine branches on the inside of the tree wouldn't die off because all these leaves on the outside would block the sunlight. So a tree has a natural tendency to grow, to push that growth to the outer parts, to become taller than the other trees and win the competition for the sunlight. And with bonsai, of course, we don't want that. So you need to be careful with these deciduous trees that grow very dense. If you don't prune them, if you don't defoliate them, the interior smaller branches will definitely die off because they just don't get the sunlight. So with this tree, a bit of summer pruning, and then an outer defoliation. And these branches, no pruning, no defoliation, this I will let them out to grow unimpeded at all. So I hope what you learned from this video is that defoliation is something that needs to be adapted to the tree and your goal. Make sure that the tree that you have can be defoliated, and then think about the goals that you have and then apply the defoliation in that sense. Learn how to create your own bonsai trees by enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. We explain techniques like pruning, wiring and repotting, and you can ask questions to the teachers. For the curriculums and free lessons, go to bonsaiempire.com/courses.